The opinions and statements expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WWDB, its staff, or management.
This week has been a little crazy. Sit back and get your recap of what happened and what is happening in sports, entertainment, movie, politics, technology, and current events. You can count on getting a dose of comedy, great guests, fun, the best talk around, and even more outrageous fun. That's why we love those two guys. Fun, fascinating, and real. We are live with the Brian and Lee Show. So unbelievable, we could not make this stuff up, even if we tried. The Brian and Lee Show.
And would you believe, this is not only Lee, this is also a lot of people in the world that says, I will never understand my daughter.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. For me, I didn't think I would understand my son or my daughter. But
you had your daughter first, so you had the teenage daughter first.
Yeah, she's definitely the child that challenged me from day one. So it's a real privilege and a pleasure to have on the guest line today Deborah Ann Davis. She's a speaker, educator, and author, and she's the author of the book, How to Keep Your Daughter from Slamming the Door. Deborah, how are you today?
I'm so good, it's scary.
Are you keeping safe? Are you being sequestered?
Oh, yes, I am, except for, occasional trip to the grocery store. But other than that, everything's, lots of alcohol and wipes and soap and water and,
Oh, yeah.
It's all good.
Oh, yeah, this is where we're doing this broadcast from a basement, so that gives you some idea how things have changed.
Hey, variety is the spice of life.
Absolutely,
exactly.
Absolutely. We have not been in the studio for 5 weeks, so we're going a little insane. But it's great to have you here, and great to be talking to you about a subject dear to my heart, because I not only have this fine, handsome son with me today, but I have a daughter that came to the universe first, and as I said, when she was bat mitzvahed, in the speech I gave, I said that she's the child that has challenged me from day one.
So it wasn't just in the teenage years, it was everything.
Everything. Well, and she's 40 and she still challenges me. Has not stopped. So, and you have a teenage daughter. You had a teenage daughter.
I had a teenage daughter. She grew up.
She grew up. There you go. They do
Funny
that.
How that works out. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. If you're lucky, they grow up to be strong women, and
exactly.
my daughter is definitely a strong woman, and but how do you get there? Because for me, I never unlocked the secret of teenage girls. I mean, I just never unlocked that secret, and now we have, now the relationship is very good, but back then it was a challenge.
Well, one of the things I think happens is that parents think that all the teenage girls are alike, and so there is a secret to unlock from them. But the reality is, I think it boils down to your personality types initially. I held this retreat for moms and teenage daughters, and I had them do a personality survey, a cute one. And the mothers did their own, the daughters did their own and didn't share it. And then I had them do it again and pretend to be each other. So the mothers all got the daughters correct when they did the test as they're pretending to be their daughter. The daughters got their mothers right if they had the same personality types. All the other daughters got it wrong. And even though they got it wrong, they assigned the mother their own personality type. They saw the mother through their own eyes.
Ah.
So a lot of times when people are knocking heads with their daughters, it's simply that they have a different personality type. And if you know that, you can research ways to bridge that gap, and then everything works better. Everyone understands what's going on.
Yes, yes. Well, and so it's the fact that there's a different personality between the two that is at work.
I think so. Partly. I mean, there are other circumstances in everyone's relationship, but look at it this way. Based on your personality, you think people are going to react a certain way and act a certain way, and you have expected responses. But if you are with a person with a different personality, they're going to react and act ways that are unexpected to you. And for a kid, they are expecting the parent to act the way they would think, like, well, I think it would make sense if I stayed out till 10 o'clock and I'm 7 years old. But when they present that to the parent goes, no way. And the kid feels blindsided because they're like, what? I would think the parent would say what I was going to say. So that's where the problems come in. And then you can, extrapolate that to high school.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember when my daughter, I was watching TV and she came into the room and she had this dress on and,
How old?
Said, well, she was a teenager by then, early teens, but, and she said, well, what do you think of this dress? And I said, well, it looks very nice, and she ran out of the room crying by that remark. And my wife came in and I said, what did I say? I didn't say anything wrong. I don't think I said anything. I said she looked very nice. Well, my wife explained to me that, no, if I really liked the dress, I would have said that it was beautiful, it was terrific, she was gorgeous. Well, who knows that? I don't know that.
Besides the wife, yeah. No,
No,
I
exactly.
totally get that. It was like that in our household because my husband's a very intuitive person, but he is not a verbally demonstrative person. I mean, he says he loves her and hugs her and all that good stuff, but my personality type is I'm like a cheerleader. Oh, yeah, that's great. I used to teach high school, and that's the way I motivated people. And that's great with substance, not just like fluffy. That's great. So my daughter has been experimenting with writing, and she's actually very, very talented. And we've been working on her stuff for probably 10 years off and on. She's come to me for her questions. But just recently, my husband said to her, I think you could earn some money being a writer. And she, for the next 3 days, kept calling me up and say, I think it's so funny. I'm so excited that Daddy said that. I've been saying it all along. But she said she knew it in her head, but just the fact that he just calmly said, no, I think you could earn a living doing that. She got all excited.
Yeah,
it's just the way that they characterize their dads,
Are relationships with mothers more difficult than with the dad?
I'll go with if they have the similar personality type, no. If they have a different personality type, yes, absolutely. But then there's the other thing that all daughters want to shine in their father's eyes. And a mother may not understand that inherent need and feel left by the curb or, left out as they do their daddy-daughter thing. But in general, I don't think that there's a difference based on gender. I think it's more based on whether or not they inherently get along based on their personalities. Now, the thing is, if you have a different personality than your child, then it's not a problem if you know it. And the other thing is, it also spills over into schools, because if your kids have the same personality type or AKA learning style as the teacher, then those classes will be very easy for them. But if the teacher has a different style than what the student is used to learning from, then they'll have more difficulty in that. And then that'll make them insecure and make them doubt their worth and their ability. And again, it's just a matter of recognizing strengths and weaknesses and then playing to them.
Very
true.
Very true.
I mean, that's happening a lot now, not just with teenagers, but also with elementary school students because of this lockdown. They're learning online, and then they're trying to get help from their parents too. But then the parents learned doing the work a completely different way, which makes it very, very, very difficult.
Exactly. Plus, the other thing is one of the things that teachers do. I mean, there's a difference between teaching a class and the curriculum of the class. And, you know, I taught school for 27 years, so they can't send over the internet the teacher. They can only send the lessons, and the teacher can be in there a little bit. I know there's many schools where the teachers are going online for their kids for a little while, but the thing is that parents need to remember is if you are trying to work on your kids' lessons, do it in small increments. I recommend like 20 minutes for small kids and then a 30-minute break where they run around and have a snack and then 20 minutes back to work. And for the older kids, I recommend 30 to 45 minutes at a shot. That's it. Then they stop and get up and move around and get something to eat and then go back. If they try to cram it in all at once, they'll burn out. Like, you know, you remember studying for final exams. You get burned out by the time the last test show was up, right? So you don't want to do that to the kids. You want to break up their day and get them moving. Plus, it makes the blood circulate and the oxygen get to the brain and moves their lymph. And, yes, I used to teach science. And so all those things are very important.
But how do you find the right balance without running the risk of them forgetting all this important information? Because, as you know, with things like the internet and video games, the child's attention span is getting lower and lower.
Then do the old fallbacks. Do flashcards. Make the kids make up flashcards, and then have your older kids test your younger kids, and have your younger kids. They're not going to know what's going on, but have them test the older kids using the flashcards. And you can wrap a rubber band around them and stack them and then pull them out like in a week or two and do them again. So I'm a big proponent of flashcards. Plus, there's lots of places online where they have the flashcards already set up. So you can go on there and do them yourself. Yep. You can make your own or they're already done. You can like look up biology flashcards or Spanish flashcards or whatever.
Man,
that's
amazing.
Yeah, that is. That's good. Do you think that you know, parenting is changing because we're being confined with our kids during this virus outbreak? Do you think that I mean, people are going to go a little bit insane living with their kids 24 hours a day, you know, and becoming teachers. We're not used to that type of society, are we?
Exactly. We are not. So basically, we're taking our family life and putting it on steroids. So everything is condensed, and it's all intense. But here's the thing. There's a lot of things that schools teach, and parents can't do everything that the schools do. So you have to get that out of your mind right away, that you are not going to do what the school does. The school has many people who do what the school does. So you are not going to do the job of all the school. So that's the first thing. Put that out of your mind. Don't worry about it. The second thing is there are a lot of things that need to be done around the house. And I'm stereotyping here, but I'm speaking to the moms. You know, the grocery shopping and the laundry and the changing the sheets on the beds and the keeping the house clean and all that business. So remember in the olden days when they had home ec? So you teach a home ec class and you say, this is how you run a home. And when you do groceries, you sit them down and you show them a budget, and you teach them how to figure out how much groceries they're getting while staying within this particular amount of money. And for smaller kids, you say, you figure out how much fruit we can get for this amount of money. For older kids, you say, you figure out the weekly budget. So when you're done with that, you have your grocery list. And when you're doing laundry, then you have them research ways online that they can make laundry time more efficient. Like I saw this video about how to fold T-shirts in 2 moves. So there's a lot of things out there, a lot of ways you can integrate life into what's going on. If you're going to change a room, then you're going to paint it, then it becomes a math problem on the area that needs to be covered. Or if you're going to put down a new carpet, or if you're going to build a shed, all those things can be turned into math and life lessons. So one of the things that schools do is they create projects that have the people demonstrate lots of different skills. Mm-hmm. For example, we used to do create a brochure for a Paleolithic, what do you call it? Dinosaur era, where you had to create it like it was going to be Jurassic Park, and they would learn how to do the program for the brochure. Plus, they would have to look up the details for it and put it into the brochure, and then they would have to make it persuasive and interesting for somebody to go there. So that's a whole bunch of skills that you do. So my recommendation is look at some of the assignments from the school and see how many of those you can integrate into what's already going on the house. I mean, assign a schedule, a TV schedule to be created by the kids. Make them part of it, and then they will be more committed to it.
That's true. Yeah, I remember doing that. I didn't do the Jurassic Park, but I had a similar assignment in high school. I had to make a brochure out of a ecosystem.
There you go. Yep. Or sometimes they have to do it for a country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So communication, I think, is difficult anyway. You know, it's whether you're communicating with coworkers or you're communicating to employees, but you know, with children, it is even more difficult, especially with teenage daughters. You know, I find that communication was really difficult because, they use different words for different things.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And plus, everybody has got the relationship hanging in the balance. So it isn't just a neutral conversation.
So, do you have some tips for how to communication tips to deal with?
Do I have some tips? Sure, I do.
That's a loaded question. There you go.
Yes, I do. First of all, there are certain things that you know are going to come up, right? I call them the inevitables. Dating, curfew, necklines, hemlines. Those things are going to come up. They're not going to be avoided. So the trick is to have the conversations when they're not pertinent. So for me, you know, as a mom, I'd find my daughter and I'd have a bottle of nail polish in my hand, and we'd go sit on the porch and paint our toenails, and I'd bring up all these toxic conversations, you know, but it was fine because there was nothing in the balance. You know, like when she was in middle school, I am not a fan of parties, first of all. When she was in middle school, they had school dances that went from 5th grade to 8th grade. And I didn't approve of slow dancing kids who were, 10 and 14 years old, So
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
And I had said to them, "Are you going to have parent chaperones?" And they said, "Oh no, we don't want our kids to be inhibited." I said, "I'm perfectly fine with my daughter being inhibited. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't let her go to the dance. And we didn't prepare for that because it didn't occur to me they were going to have a dance in the 5th grade. And so, our house was World War III zone for the whole week leading up to the dance. And when it was all said and done on Monday, she came home from school and told me all these stories that the kids told her about the dances where the older boys were doing things to embarrass the younger kids, and she was glad that she didn't go. But when it was time for the next dance, we went through the whole thing again. So what I would do is, like, during the summer, we'd sit and we'd talk about the dances, and I would remind her about how she felt, and we'd discuss what her friends thought and that kind of stuff. So I had this little arsenal of discussions that we had. So when we were talking about it, when the dance came up, then it would be a lesser World War III, not as bad as the other ones. Partly, I think that she felt obligated.
It would be like World War II and a half.
Yeah, like the nuke didn't go off, but it was dropped. But she would say things, have arguments, and then she'd go away, and then she'd come back, and she'd explain her side, and we'd say, and then she'd separate us, and she'd talk to my husband, and then she would talk to me, and then she'd bring it up at dinner, and we held the line, although privately behind closed doors we were going, are we really being too strict? But we held the line. But funny thing is, in the 8th grade, when they said she could go to the dance because she was the oldest in the room now, she says, no, I don't want to go. There's too much stuff that goes on over there.
That's great. That's great.
Are you kidding me? Do you know what you put us through 3 times a year for the last 3 years?
Oh,
so I think she kind of felt obligated to go through it. But I know I rambled a little bit. But the thing is, have the discussions when it's not important. Like, if you're going to change the curfews when school starts for the following year, then have the discussion during the summer. Talk about when they're going to spend time with their friends during the summer for the school. If they're going to go to the school dances, talk to them about what they're going to wear during the summer. That's my clue.
Yeah, don't wait until it becomes a crisis. Just have the conversation before it becomes a crisis. Especially
for the things that are coming up.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's a good tip. And did your daughter ever say, if I don't do something, if I don't do this, it's going to ruin my life? I used to get that comment.
Oh yes.
So
and I'd say, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to hold the line here because I love you too much. But she doesn't remember saying those things to me. She says, no, I didn't say that.
No. Didn't you say something like it was nice knowing you? Or something like that?
Yeah, I think I did a few times.
When they say, I'm leaving. I'm going to love you wherever you live.
This is going to end my life, or
the answer to that is a calm. That's the answer. Yeah.
I think that's great. I'll tell you one quick story, which I think I can tell. I think I have my daughter's permission to tell this, but I was...
If not, too bad.
My daughter used to stay up late and watch TV shows, and this is when she was a little older, but she came down, I guess she was around 10 or 11 years old.
Well, first of all, used to say the show came on at like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, so...
it was for mature audiences.
Yeah, but we had a rule that, as long as she didn't disturb us, we didn't really care that, so she came, and as long as it was educational, it had to be something educational she was watching. Mm-hmm. So she came downstairs where I'm eating breakfast, and I have a spoonful of cereal in my mouth, and she says, I have a question for you because I don't understand something. I understand about sex because we covered this in school, but I don't understand. They were talking about oral sex, and I don't understand how you can have sex just by talking about it. And I after I picked up my jaw from the floor, I said, "Go talk to your mother about this." So now that, I think, was the correct answer for that one.
I think so.
So, yeah.
No, I actually had the correct answer, right?
Oh, you do?
The answer to those questions is, why do you want to know?
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That completely takes you out of the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she would have told me why she wanted to know. That was the problem. I didn't really want to get into it.
But then the conversation goes to why she wants to know, not the answer.
Ah. Gotcha.
I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But at like 6 o'clock in the morning, would you have thought of that?
No, not with a serial stupor going on. No.
Yeah. Well, we're almost at the end of the segment, and this has been great. It's been a real pleasure. And where can people find a copy of your book?
It will be out shortly, but they can go to my website at www.deborahanndavis.com.
Great. You'll have to come back and we'll talk again. Cause,
I would love to.
I really enjoyed this.
Well, thank you. Me too. You guys are really easy to talk to.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. And have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again.
And stay safe.
Same to you. Bye.
Bye-bye.